In addition to that, we have a very interesting panel of guests joining us for our today's show, which is going to be focusing on the future of school education in Oman in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Let's welcome Dr. Baby Saamuel, Chairman, Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman, Dr. Susan Grosbach, Head of School, ABA Oman International School, and Mr. Nasir Nawaz, Principal and Secretary, Steering Committee, Pakistan School System. Thank you all for joining us for the show today.
Thank you, madam.
I hope you all can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I hope so.
You are. Yeah.
So Dr. Saamuel, I'm going to start with you. How are schools currently offering online and remote learning in the wake of coronavirus?
Well, there are 21 Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman, and each of these schools have been able to start remote learning for our students sometime in April itself. And, they're using a variety of tools for engaging our students directly and to transfer the information to our students. We have two in-house virtual learning portals. One is ISOVLE, a Moodle-based platform established by the board in the year 2018, which acts as a knowledge repository containing video lessons for most subjects from grade 9 and onwards. And this is pan-Oman and available to across the entire Indian schooling system. Indian School Muscat also has a similar Moodle-based platform that they're using. There are other virtual meeting platforms that the schools have been using, like Microsoft Teams, GoToMeeting, Cisco WebEx, Zoom. Schools are also using, Google Classrooms. Teachers were already using WhatsApp as also a medium for informal communication and engagement with parents. Currently, we have classes being held for say 3 to 4 hours per student per day, with a focus on core subjects. However, the schools are also exploring various options to engage children holistically for non-core subjects and extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Yeah.
Dr. Susan, would you like to take forward that question from Dr. Saamuel?
Thank you very much, Madiha. We got the notification on March 18th that we were to go to online instruction. We took one day to have a full meeting with all our staff and with all our TAs, with all our faculty. We met as a full staff and then broke down into our department meetings. The very next day launched, that would be right away in March. The very next day we launched a full online platform which met with all students regularly every day. We used certainly the ABA Google domain and engaged Cisco WebEx fully. We have a managed back program which uses all of the curricular programs, but through Cisco, the Cisco WebEx program, we were able to do video conferencing. We had 1,000 conferencing users. We logged in and I was able to track all of the teachers and TAs, how many times they were initiating teaching hours. And through the Google Apps, VoIP, and video applications and additional communication tools, the files, folders, resources, websites to subjects and curriculum contacts, the resources. Our students had regular contact and classroom settings every day since March. This was not anything that was pre-programmed, but constant contact with their teachers, with their classmates, and constant everyday contact with their counselors, the arts, and music lessons. So it was a full program of regular schooling, albeit not in the format that they were used to. And our students, their therefore were able to carry on the IB curriculum from the very second day after online was announced. It's not our regular format, and it's not the one we're trained in, but the teachers, through extraordinary creativity, were able to teach the second day after the announcement. And we are still teaching. We go right through the 18th of June. And I've been singularly impressed. It was a seismic change, but we've had all-day classrooms ever since. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Susan. Mr. Nasir Nawaz, would you also like to respond to the same question? How is Pakistan's school system providing online or remote learning for its students?
Madam, thank you very much for inviting me on your show. First of all, let me tell you that we have 7 schools in Sultanate of Oman, and we have about 6,000 students in our schools. Fortunately, we were already connected with parents through WhatsApp groups. So when we received a notification from Ministry of Education that schools will remain closed, we immediately informed parents that school will remain closed, and what we need to do is we will devise online classes for our students. So unfortunately, our teachers were not trained for online teaching. So hats off to my principals. They have done a great job, and within a week's time, they started online teaching through Google Classrooms and Zoom Classrooms. So that is what we are doing till now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nawaz. What about the tools that you all are using in each of your schools? Dr. Saamuel, would you like to emphasize on the tools and the platforms that you're using to reach out to the students?
I just covered in the first question itself. We have an in-house virtual learning portal, which is called ISOVLE, Indian Schools Oman Virtual Learning Environment. It's a Moodle-based platform. And we are also using the meeting platforms like Microsoft Teams, GoToMeetings, Cisco WebEx, Zoom, Google Classrooms, and the likes. Yes. And WhatsApp, of course. That's but an informal communication methodology that we use to communicate, basically.
Dr. Susan, I believe you also, highlighted the platforms and the tools that you're using. Could you tell me the difficulties or the challenges that you're facing in terms of using certain tools?
I should point out that one extraordinary, well-used platform for the youngest children is Seesaw. And our K1, K2, 3, and certainly in the elementary school, Seesaw has been extraordinarily well used for the youngest children. And so when you're talking about the challenges observed, we all know that children are best served in a classroom with well-trained teachers. So many of the lessons of education and of school, our play to learn and learn to play, those are very important concepts of a school, especially in the younger grades. And I know so many of our young parents are frustrated with their youngest children with this online platform. No little child has ever been designed to be on an online platform. The joy of children coming to school is something that we're so well trained to do. And we heard about parents saying, how does a teacher control 15 or 20 children in a classroom when I can't even get my little one to do this online lesson? So our teachers are well trained, and we know that. So one of the challenges, when you say, Madiha, what is one of the challenges that we observed? We observed that the youngest children were never designed to sit in front of an online platform. Yet our teachers did an extraordinary job of designing very interesting lessons with Seesaw. That's the platform that we're using. We also had our counselors reach out to both the parents and the children the counselors, and I'll give you a piece of data in a moment, hang on to that thought, that Seesaw was able to have creativity. I received a call today from a first grade parent to say, this has been an extraordinarily positive experience for my first grader. But we know that coming to school and playing to learn, the negotiation that goes on in a classroom is so much better than being isolated. But the pandemic caused that to happen. So we were able to have counseling and playing and drawing and exercises that are not limited to a couple hours a day. So it goes out throughout the whole day. There are baking lessons and things that they're doing with their parents. Nonetheless, negotiation skills, the skill sharing, the skills that are done on the playground, and leadership lessons, they are done best in a classroom. And I know parents are going to rejoice when they can send their kids back to the classes, to the teachers who know how to do that. The primary concern for parents they have been at the younger grades, and we appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. The lessons have been creative, but they're hardest at the youngest grades. Then we saw grades 3, 4, 5, 6, they got more. The middle, they were creative, and the kids were doing longer term lessons, and counting became more and more important because some of our children felt isolated. And when I said hold that thought, I'm going to get back to it. We even found at the 9th grade level, I had a lot of parents contact me and say children were at one point getting too much homework. So we tamped that down a little bit at one point, and we had children in the 9th, 10th, 11th. We need to make sure that our kids were getting prepared for their DP diplomas, their diplomas for next year. When I said I'll get back to that thought, we took part in an international survey to ascertain whether our education through this online was good enough for our students. And I know that this may be a longer answer, so perhaps, Madiha, we should get back to that. But we participated in an international survey of how we did. And if you'd like me to get back to that later, it's a longer answer. Maybe I should get back to that later.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susan. Mr. Nasir Nawaz, I'll come to you now. Sir, what kind of tools are you using to reach out to your students across Oman? And what are the challenges that you have observed or you're facing right now in terms of parents and students as well as teachers?
Well, madam, as I told you earlier that we are mainly using Zoom and Google Classroom. Other than that, we have a YouTube channel for our younger children. As madam told you that there is a problem for younger children, that the little tiny souls, it's very difficult to make them sit for long hours, for 3 hours or 4 hours at home. So what we have done, the teachers, what they have done, they recorded lessons in their own voice, and we send that lesson through Google Classroom, through WhatsApp, and even on the YouTube channel. So whenever parents like to replay it, they can do the same. The challenges we faced, it's a very, very good question. As you know that we are a community school. So the challenge which we found was basically the number of gadgets available at home with the internet connectivity. So, if a parent is having 3 or 4 children in different classes and school is running classes at the same time, it will not be possible for a parent having one mobile or one tablet or one laptop to engage all those students. So first, when we received these complaints from parents, what we've done, we divided our lessons into, or even segregate the schools into three different levels. First one, the junior school was given time in evening. That was from 1:30 p.m. till evening 7 o'clock, or even if parents want to do it, that was possible. In senior section, we started our classes at 10 a.m. And in the other middle section, we started our classes at 11 a.m. We offered four classes maximum per day of 45 minutes each. So that is what we faced till now. And now we are off. Means it is summer holidays for the school. We are going to reopen rather on inshallah 13th of July. So after that, we have plans to have some tools for online examination as well. So we are already working on it, and most probably within a week or two, we will finalize it, inshallah.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Saamuel, like you mentioned earlier, there are 21 branches of Indian schools across Oman. Are you at the school also facing the same challenges of unavailability of kids, or lack of devices or internet facilities?
Madiha, yes, we do face that definitely. But our biggest challenge is that most of our schools and teachers were not familiar with remote tutoring. Although most of our schools have some version of smart classrooms, and they were using these, within schools as part of curriculum. But however, remote learning is a totally different ballgame altogether. The technologies being used for remote learning were new. The process was new. Despite having a minimal technical expertise, our teachers adopted this and gained expertise in no time. As Dr. Susan said, really hats off to our teachers and the school administration for rising up to the occasion so splendidly, I would say. Another challenge, as you just rightly mentioned, digital capabilities of our students. We had to ensure that overlap of classes for siblings were minimal, considering the device limitation. That was a major hassle that we had in front. And that parents and students were comfortable using these applications. There were a lot of tutorials, troubleshooting and awareness sessions were being done, and now our students are better at this. There were also security challenges initially, with the risk of hacking and such. So all in all, initially there were a few issues like that. With the support of our parents and their constructive feedback, the school have managed to get better over time. But I should also take this time to mention some major advantages of remote learning. For example, students have become a lot more resilient. They have begun to take more active role in their learning process. Over the years, schooling had become teacher-led, and now it is more student-led. So students and parents too have been aware of that they need to take charge of their learning, which I would say is a silver lining to all of this. Because of this, we are able to, I think we can create a generation of self-equipped lifelong learners in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Susan, you just heard about the challenges the other two gentlemen are facing in their schools. Are you also facing similar challenges, or you have the timetable or everything in accordance to the availability of the children?
Yes, of course. We had some students who didn't have access. We actually delivered some iPads to students who didn't have access, and we had some TAs who needed iPads. So we delivered iPads to them so that everyone could participate, and we did some training, of course. So we want everyone to be able to participate in this. So yes, of course. I agree, certainly with Dr. Sam.
Mr. Nasir Nawaz, I'll come to you now. Talking about the challenges that what students and teachers and the whole country is in right now, there are also challenges on the pocket of parents currently. What has the school system or the management provided or offered to help them in this situation?
Madam, as you know that During this COVID-19, most of the people lost their jobs, and there are too many other problems they faced, and due to which their financial just dried out. So yes, we do understand that problem, and the steering committee of Pakistan schools in Oman, they have decided that we will give 10% discount on the fee of May. All the fines, the late submission of the fee fines were removed, and you must know this, that Pakistan school is the school charging only 10-month fee, and if you just calculate the average fee of the school, that is only 37 real per month, and if you take it just for 10 months, so that is 370 real per year. That is the average fee. So we are trying our level best to provide some facilities to parents, and in that line, salaries of the staff was even reduced from 5 to 15%, just not to put all the burden on the parents.
So, sir, with the reduction of this fees, have the time period for students learning also been compromised?
No. It is not at all. Not at all. The rest of the things will remain the same. Only the salary of the teachers is reduced, because if you have funds in school, then you'll be.
I think we are losing connection with Mr. Nasir Nawaz.
So you must know that 81% of the finance school. Mina?
Sir, I can hear you now. Can you please repeat the last sentence again?
Yeah. Well, I said that almost 80% of the finances or of the income is utilized for the salary of the staff. So we have reduced the salary of the staff, because in this critical situation, it is very difficult to get or receive all the fee from the parents, right? So just to run the school smoothly, what we have done, we have reduced the salary for that particular time.
Thank you, Mr. Nasir Nawaz. Dr. Saamuel, are you making any changes to the fee structure for the students to help out parents?
Yeah. Madiha, before getting into the relief measures that we have offered to our parent community, I would like to take a minute to explain our unique model and what we mean by community schools. We are a work of not-for-profit, unaided schools established under the regulation of Ministry of Education, solely for providing education as per the Indian syllabus to the Indian diaspora. So this basically means we do not get any aid from outside and depend on our sole source of revenue, that is fees, both for operation as well for growth. And our fees are the lowest in the region itself. So keeping that in mind, given our own financial constraints, we have introduced various relief measures in a phased manner. We began by deferring the fee hike proposed for this academic year. We gave options to parents for remitting the applicable school fees in a monthly manner instead of the quarterly mode. And with effect from the month of May till August 2020, the school is collecting only tuition fee from the students. The students shall be exempted from any other payment other than tuition fees. We have also announced a 50% concession on the tuition fee until the end of the academic year 2021, in the unfortunate situation in which any member of the Indian school family, be it a parent or a student, contract the virus or contract the infection and become COVID-19 positive during this term, if they are financially challenged. Apart from that, if any parent requires special consideration for fee concession for various reasons, like their job is at stake or they have been not paid during this period, we have informed that such requests should be favorably considered, provided supportive documents have been submitted to the schools. We have gone beyond these fees-related relief measures. Every school, we have a help center, hotline that has been set for all the 21 Indian school campuses, where even food kits have been provided for those who are in need. Apart from that, we have set up a similar access for safeguarding the mental health of our parents and students by having a 24/7 round-the-clock counseling service named Here For You, Let's Talk, through our school counselors. To summarize, Madiha, as of now, the Indian schooling system have provided relief measures to the impact of 1.1 million money reals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saamuel. Dr. Susan, are there any relief measures offered from your school to the parents in the wake of coronavirus pandemic?
Specifically for the pandemic, we have also nurses on staff, and we also have mental health and counseling for the students and families, similar to what we just heard from Dr. Saamuel. We don't have 21 schools, so we don't have the extensive, we're just one school. We do have seven counselors on staff. But we have rolled back our tuition increase for next year, and we have changed our installments for relief for families finding it very difficult in these times. We have a very small board, volunteers, and we're not for profit. So it's very similar to what I'm hearing in the other schools. These are very difficult times for families, and we are certainly, our board has made lots of concessions about how we're approaching next year. We used to have a one payment for the enrollment fee. Now it is broken over 4 years. So many things have been put in place to make it accessible to families. And those are all on our website, both for new families and for our families who are returning. There are things in place to make this education much more accessible. Similarly, not-for-profit. So we have not reduced our salaries for our faculty and staff, but the majority of our income goes directly to our faculty and staff.
Thank you, Dr. Susan. Mr. Nasir Nawaz, you just pointed out that the schools will, reopen in July. And if the situation prevails, if it continues the same, can we expect more relief given to the parents in future?
Well, as you know, it is not my prerogative to answer the question, but with the permission of Chairman Steering Committee, yes, if budget allows, why not? Because we are a community school and we have to help our community, definitely.
Dr. Saamuel, same question goes for you. Can we expect more relief given to the parents in the upcoming months if the situation remains the same?
As you know, the situation is very dynamic, constantly evolving right now. Our responses to are similarly dynamic. We have been closely monitoring the situation. We are in parallel anticipating future challenges and constantly exploring new options and solutions for this based on our financial and our economic scenarios and environment. However, at this moment, common centralized relief measures could severely hamper the working of various schools. As just mentioned, Indian schooling system in Oman is comprises of 21 schools, and it's complex in nature. When I say complex, we operate with different fee structures. Various schools have different financial positions. We have schools ranging from student enrollment of 8,500 students with over 400 plus teachers to less than 40 students and 4 teachers, with different fee structures and salary structures. So these are diverse financial challenges and complexities. So the decision taken by the board always needs to also take into account the sustainability of all these schools. So therefore, additional relief measures, if any, are given at the level of individual schools as per the individual capacity of each schools and as determined by the respective school management committees. According to the changing scenarios and based on the financial viability of every school, the school management committees shall determine the scope and implement new measures. The board has also given broader directives to the school management committee to this direction. Additionally, we are also reaching out to various corporates and relevant government and non-governmental organizations for monetary aids and support in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are getting some online questions from our viewers. Mr. Nasir Nawaz, if you could just answer one of the questions, please. They're asking, if you are taking online classes half of the day, can you just not reduce the school fee according to the time that is being given to the student?
Well, as you know, in the online classes, the teacher's work is doubled, right? Because they have to research, they have to make their lessons interactive. They sit throughout the day and they work almost double the time they spend in school. So we cannot like reduce their salary more. As I told you, that 80% of the revenue we spend on the salaries of the staff. So by the way, we have almost 343 staff members. So it is, I think, very difficult to say that yes, because we are teaching half of the day, so we will like charge less. So I think that is not correct. Like, even after delivering the lesson, the teachers used to sit on the Google Classroom. They check their students' work. They mark their assignments in each and everything. So I think that is what we are doing already is okay.
Dr. Susan, do you agree with this question that has been pointed out by one of our viewers right now, that the school fee should be reduced according to the time given to the student through online platform?
Well, as I've pointed out, we aren't teaching 2 to 3 hours a day. We're teaching, in some cases, all day long, and we will not be reducing fees. Our teachers are teaching all day long, and we're paying them all day long.
Okay, talking about the situation, and if the situation prevails and the school, for some reason, the lockdown on the schools has been lifted, how are you all prepared to welcome the students back to the schools? Dr. Saamuel, would you start, please?
It is, first of all, this academic term is going to be a very, very difficult one, not just for the schools or other international schools in Oman, but for schools across the globe. And this term is going to be either remote learning based, until the schools reopen, and then blended learning is going to be the new norm. Conventional methods of teaching, assessments, peer learning will not work in any of these situations, and we are slowly and steadily applying new changes to enable optimal learning outcomes and continuous assessment in the days to come as far as academic goes. Now, if we talk about the safety and such kind of regulations to be in place, we cannot predict the regulation that might be in place, what kind of directives that we are going to expect, but nor how each of our schools can meet all these aspects. But in a broader sense, definitely, the way we are going to, operate our schools, the way we need to maintain physical distancing at all times, which means, complete shifting of all the school operations from timings to classroom session to PE to canteen visit, the changes will be visible everywhere. And now, how we are prepared is, as I said, like the board, the schools, we report to the Ministry of Education, and we are in regular contact with MOE and the CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education in India, communicating our guidance, instructions, queries, and updates. The schools are also trying to anticipate the requirements for the reopening of the schools and have begun the groundwork for the same. Social distancing, or rather I would say the term is physical distancing, is going to be a very, very serious challenge in the days to come. That means that, various ways to increase the distance and minimize the student exposure, both within and outside the classroom, increased hallway monitoring, designed routes for entry and exit. Within classroom itself, it's a bigger challenge, given the number of students per class in most of our schools. One way could be divide the class into subgroups with staggered alternate in school and remote classes. The student count and infrastructure availability at every school is different. So the schools and the individual capacities are working on various school continuity plan at this point as we speak, taking into account the multiple scenarios where the schools may reopen in few months' time, and the possibility where the entire or most of the academic year may, have to be through remote learning. So at the board level, also plans are under progress for both scenarios.
Thank you, Dr. Saamuel. Dr. Susan, same question goes to you. How prepared are you to welcome students back once everything is normal?
We've prepared for at least 4 scenarios, and we have to be prepared for all of them, waiting for the Ministry of Education to tell us which one we're going to go with. We have to have a full schedule prepared in case it's just like a normal opening. We have to have the full schedule from our K1, K2, K3, and then grades 1 through 12. That's 15 grade levels. We have to have the full schedule fully prepared and teachers hired for what we would say a normal opening. We have to have then also a hybrid schedule prepared, which would include going back and forth, what I call toggling, going back and forth from in school, some homeschooling or online, which our IB program is ideally suited to do. We can send the kids home. We've ordered some supplies that are perfectly suited for that for the fall. We have to be prepared for an online opening. And we also are prepared for a scenario where it's perhaps older kids at first. Perhaps the older grades come in the beginning, with younger kids starting later, or even split sessions. We have to hear what the appetite is from the Ministry of Education, but we have to be prepared for all of those scenarios and be ready to go. And we are. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are getting a lot of questions, and unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to take all the questions that we are getting right now. I'm just going to take a few questions here regarding the safety of the students when they return to school. What are the safety precautions or measures that you all are prepared to exercise when the school is open? Mr. Nawaz, could you please start here?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes. So let me tell you that even before the closure of the school on 15th of March, we installed sanitizers in each and every classroom, even in corridors of the school and all the staff rooms, everywhere in the school, sanitizers were available. The other thing which we can do is that, for example, schools reopen and like with the permission of this Ministry of Education. We have a plan, if approved by Ministry of Education, that we will have 2 shifts, one in the morning, one in the second shift will be starting at about 11:30 a.m. The first step, or the first shift, we can start at 7:30 a.m. and we will have 4 lessons per day or 5 lessons per day of 45 minutes each. There will be no break for students. And we have another plan which is introduced, which is Me Plan. What is Me Plan? Is morning and evening. Different furniture for the morning one and different furniture for the evening one. One row of M will be only for the morning students and the other one for the evening students, because within half an hour it is difficult to clean all the furniture by the support staff. So what we'll do, after finishing the day, the entire furniture will be cleaned with the help of the sanitizers and whatever material is required. The other thing is we will ensure that each and every child comes to school wear the mask, the face mask, and with gloves. We will also educate parents to send homemade lunch instead of asking a child to purchase it from the canteen, and we will try level best to not open the canteen during that particular period. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Saamuel, what are the Indian schools across Oman are doing in terms of ensuring safety and well-being of their students?
As I said, like every school in the system, the 21 schools have different structures in place with a different strength, and all the schools have their own continuity plan in place, which has been submitted to the board, and we deliberate with them on a regular basis. Apart from that, as a general guideline, physical distancing will have to be maintained as much as practically possible. No questions asked about it. There will be routine hygiene checks and monitoring to screen students and staff for temperature, fever, respiratory symptoms, and the likes. And obviously, the hygiene measures like students and staff will have to recur to wash hands frequently and use hand sanitizers. Apart from that, frequent disinfection is one way, especially common surfaces like handrails, furnitures. And we were already implementing this in the weeks before the schools were asked to be closed, and this will continue. We'll also be following all instructions, as I said, given by the Ministry of Education in this regard. Naturally, wearing masks will be made compulsory for staff and students. At the entrance itself, temperature will be checked with thermal scanners and the likes. And many other things what Dr. Susan and Mr. Massif have just mentioned. We will be following that as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Dr. Susan, could you please answer to that question? What are the safety measures and precautions AB Oman International School is going to take in place for the safety of their students?
Well, like my gentlemen colleagues, we are studying right around the world. We're taking counsel from those schools in Singapore and in China and Japan who have closed and opened, and now some have closed again, studying what has worked for them, what has not worked for them. The WHO, and all of the organizations, and summarizing their successes and their failures, some of the countries who have opened, and we're synthesizing everything. What we do know is that our student morning drop-off system has to change, and we had really free flow of parents. It was one of the signatures, and lovely signatures, of our community that we had parents right in our buildings all the time, and sadly I think that's got to change. Adult presence on our campus will be evaluated, and we are sad that will have to change. Temperatures taken, hand washing regimen in our evaluation will be part of our health education. Of course, as Dr. Saamuel just pointed out, that was well part of our regimen before we went to online. We found that from all of our studies is really much more important for children than the hand sanitizers, is working that into the system. Our sanitation contracts are being scrutinized, and how we do that within the school. We've just had the buildings all sanitized again as we go through that. Training facilities are being evaluated, whether we'll have dining or have at all, because we want to monitor that. Certainly no buffets in schools. I think that's something that does not happen much anymore, or in the foreseeable future. We are evaluating masks, especially with little children, because and gloves. We're taking our counsel on that slowly, but again, we will get we can study it, and then the Ministry of Health will tell us a lot of this. We have gotten mixed reviews on that from schools around the world, that the little children and masks is an extension. It becomes something that becomes unclear to them. So adults and children will have different, we will follow the lead from the Ministry of Health. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nawaz, talking about community schools, we know that, the size of the class is relatively large. How do you think is going to be doable or practical to maintain social distance when schools have resumed?
Yeah, madam, we have almost I have here with me. We have some like 6,000 students with us, and we have about 170 classrooms. Though the sizes are different, as Mr. Gobi said, that in different localities we have different size of schools. Same like Indian schools, we have the same situation. The class sizes are different, but average number of students per class we have almost 20, sorry, 40. So 40 students, if we reduce that into two parts, 20 students per class will definitely, will be possible for us to maintain distance of at least 2 meter, 2 square meter rather. So I think it is very much possible. And if we divide it into two shifts, it is possible. There is another thing which we can do. We can like run school on alternate days. For one section, one day; for the other section, other day, and it is very much possible to because of the sizes of the classrooms, it is possible we can do it.
Dr. Saamuel, how doable do you think it is for you to maintain social distancing across 21 schools?
I think I have covered that point, Madiha. It's like, we have serious challenges, 21 schools. Our class average is something like as same as a Pakistan school on an average of 40. Given the large number of students per class in most of the schools, one, as I said before, could be to divide the class into subgroups with staggered, alternating school and remote classes. Various plans, different permutation combinations have been worked out on this. And as I said, we are definitely looking for further directives from MOE and MOH on these lines to further plan on. But definitely we have, various combinations worked out in individual schools, and we are ready to, welcome as soon as we get a green signal to go with from the local authorities.
So we're coming towards the end of our show for today, so I'll quickly ask you all one last question. A lot of parents and a lot of students are watching the show right now, and they're constantly commenting and asking a lot of questions. How are you going to give them surety that once everything is normal and once they're back to schools, everything is going to be taken care of in terms of their health and safety? Dr. Susan, would you take a lead on this one, please?
Oh, Madiha, everything will never go back to normal, my dear. It's just, I can't guarantee that. We are in a new normal. The advantage at ABA is that our class sizes are quite a bit smaller. So I have an advantage because I can manage this differently. But honestly, we have a new normal, and so we have to work with each other. We're taking one step at a time. We're working together with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health. We're joining hands. We research everything for the good of children. We take our curriculum. We take the best of teachers. We take creativity and the best of all worlds, health, education, and put it together for children. And that's what we will offer this coming fall. And we will do the best for children in all three of these versions of schools. And we'll make it through this. As we see, as was so clearly said earlier, Dr. Saamuel, when he said that we see resilience coming through, and these children will be okay, parents will be okay, and they showed us that they could help the children learn, and good will come of this. It's a terrible thing that we've entered into together, but parents found time with their children and will educate the children when they come back to us. We will not have what we had before, but will be different and will be better. But we all have to join hands. That's what I can say right now.
Mr. Nasir Nawaz, any last words that you would like to convey to the parents, the students, and the teachers who are listening to the show right now?
Yeah, madam. One thing, it is my responsibility to give quality education to my students, and I will definitely take care of it by all means. And whatsoever the situation is, we are trying our level best to train our teachers, to help our students, to help parents. And if anybody is having any issue, we are always available to help them, and we will be available. There is no time for day or night. We are always available for our parents, our students, our teachers. We are here to support them, and inshallah, we will just cover each and everything. All the objectives which we have to achieve by the end of the year will be achieved, inshallah.
Thank you. Dr. Saamuel, would you please give us your last words?
I echo the same sentiments as Dr. Susan and Mr. Nasir has just shared right now. On the part of students and parents, what I understand is that there is no going back to the old normalcy, at least for the foreseeable future. We will also need to learn to adapt to the changing scenarios, situations, for which the first step is to accept that everything might feel different, but our priority for education will always remain the same. Indian schools are with our parents and student community in this journey, and together I'm confident that we can overcome each of these hurdles as they come our way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nasir, I would just like to take a very quick small question from you right now. There is actually a question from Mr. Hafiz Malik. He wants to know if the 10% reduction in fee has been given to the students of all grades or certain grades.
No, as I told you that we are already, let me explain it in detail that you should know. I have all the things with me here. You must know that they are already giving 4% of the revenue as a concession prints. That is what we call sibling concession. So the children who are already getting concession, any type of concession, is not given that particular concession, right? The children who are not getting any concession were given 10% concession on that particular thing. There is another issue that we are collecting 10 months fee, and unfortunately the recovery is not that much. So, in this situation, that was the, I think, appropriate thing which we've already done.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering to that question. I hope Mr. Hafiz has gotten the answer to his question. Thanking you all once again for joining us for such an interesting segment. We had a lot of questions flooding in, but we couldn't take it due to the shortage of time.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madiha.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
On this note, we're going to wrap up our show for today. We'll be back again tomorrow, the same time at 2 p.m. with midday updates. So stay tuned and keep watching TTV.